to this very fantastic place called the Amity University. We welcome you with folded hands and look forward to a lot of very meaningful interactions and roadmaps for collaboration. We are honored and delighted to have amongst us Professor Matthew Burney, Dean for International, Professor Javier Sajura, SPIR Deputy Dean Education, Professor Martin Welton, STA Head of Drama Department, Professor Sushanta Malik, Professor from International Finance, Mr. Lee Wildman, Director of Global Engagement, Ms. Jaspreet Kaur, our old friend, Principal Advisor, South Asia, Angelos Demopoulos, Senior Lecturer from the School of Law, Nishi Sadana, QML South Asia, Abhishek Boral, Senior Advisor, South Asia, QMAUL. Welcome and namaskar. Before we start, there is a very power-packed panel discussion to follow. But before we start, I would request Rear Admiral Alok Bhatnagar, Deputy DG, IAD, to say a few words about Amity. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, I must extend a very warm welcome on behalf of our Honorable Founder President, on behalf of our Chancellor, on behalf of our Group Vice Chancellor who's traveling to Australia and not here. And I'm sitting in his place for welcoming you. He would have loved to be with you and take part in the discussion. So I'm also delighted to say that this is one of the largest delegations, Professor Burney, who's come to Amity. So that's very exciting. And we have some of the very senior members of our faculty who are here to interact with you on a very topical and relevant subject, which will ensue in the form of the group in the panel discussions after this. I just thought I will take a minute or two to tell you a bit about Amity. One is that we are already partners. We already have our articulation agreements and close relationship between the two universities. But just to give you an update, Amity is the largest education group in India. We have about 250,000 students, 6,000 faculty, and an equal number, which is adjunct. So a little more than 10,000 faculty. We have got 12 universities in India. And just to put it in perspective, to open a university in India, you have to pass a bill in the parliament and in the state assembly. So it's not easy to have a university in India. So we've got 12 of them, independent universities. We've got 17 campuses abroad. You, of course, know our campus in London, but we have two in United States, one in New York, Long Island, and one in San Francisco. We have our campuses in Singapore, Mauritius, South Africa, Kenya, Tashkent, Amsterdam, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and many more are in the pipeline to be inaugurated in a short while. We have very vibrant research ecosystem in the university, and we have filed upwards of 2,500 patents, and many of our patents have been approved, and we always do research which affects the society, and therefore the patents can be translated into something worthwhile for the people at large. We also provide the entire spectrum of education, that is from kindergarten to PhD. So we have got preschools and high schools, 28 of them. They are very high quality, and I'll give you and I'll tell you why. Because for the last 4 years, the toppers of the 10th grade and the 12th grade have been from Amity International Schools. And these toppers are from, we run the schools under the Central Board of Secondary Education, which is the largest education board in the country. So it's a matter of great pride for us that we have some of the very good schools, which are also feeders to our universities in India as well as abroad. With this, I would once again extend a very warm welcome to you, and I look forward to the discussions that will ensue. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure to listen to Bhatnagar sir on his words of the Amity universe. As we move forward, we are now going to launch a power packed panel discussion on the topic interdisciplinary approaches, digital integration of arts and social sciences in a STEM dominated world. And I would request Professor Matthew Burney, Dean of International, to lead the discussion. And then we have faculty from all over Amity Universe who will follow suit. Thank you so much. We can give you mics there.
Distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. It's really a pleasure for all of us to be here at Amity University. And I just would like to start by thanking you all for your warm hospitality. We are here with a delegation representing different schools of our Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, schools of Politics of International Relations, our new School of the Arts, which is the product of a merger between two of our former schools, the schools of linguistics and films on the one side and the School of English and Drama. Then we have also a colleague from the School of Business and Management and a colleague from the School of Law. When listening to the introductory remarks made earlier, I strongly believe that we actually share many characteristics between your university and ours. A commitment to research excellence, a focus on interdisciplinarity, and that's why we're very much keen to engage with you on this topic of interdisciplinarity in terms of, in particular, creating bridges across the different areas of the social sciences and the humanities, but also beyond with the different STEM fields. And also, because at the end of the day, we are also here to train and to engage with students, a great focus on excellence in the area of education with a great focus on employability. And it is very clear in that context that creating bridges between different disciplines is also probably the best ways, for us to prepare our students to address some of the most pressing challenges that we are facing today. Technological transformation in the area of artificial intelligence, digital transformation, but also global challenges such as climate change. And we are here in Delhi, and indeed we have witnessed since we arrived, how difficult, the issue of environmental pollution could be in a big city like Delhi. Issues that we've also faced in a number of cities across Europe as well in the last few years. So the theme of this round table is very much, the starting point of it is very much this idea that we live in a STEM-dominated world. That is to say that when thinking about access to external funding or government funding, that it is more and more difficult in a way to mobilize funds to get social research in the humanities, arts, and social sciences funded by public institutions. That being said, we very much believe at Queen Mary that the deep societal transformations which are driven by how technological developments in different areas, including artificial intelligence, including energy, agriculture, transportation, you name them, I mean, do require or do force us as social scientists or colleagues from the humanities and the arts to think about the consequences that those transformations do have on our societies, and most importantly, to try to think how we can translate our research into policies, or to indeed identify pathways to impact, with the view indeed of finding more durable solutions that will eventually enhance the lives of the communities and our systems in a context of uncertainty. So maybe if my colleague Martin Welton doesn't mind, I will give him the floor for a few minutes, keeping in mind that Martin was our impact lead during the last exercise of the Research Excellence Framework in the UK, which is this central system that analyzes the research outputs produced in different UK universities. Martin.
Okay, while we do that, I would normally what we do is we also do introductions of each of the, but that's okay. What we'll do is each one, when you're speaking, please let us also know which part of the school or college you come from and what is the area of specialization. Similarly, I'll request our team also to, when you're making any comments, please introduce yourselves and give your area of focus. Thank you.
Certainly, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. So I'm Martin Welton. I'm currently the deputy head of the School of the Arts, which is the newest school that we have at Queen Mary. And as Matthew said, it's combined out of the sort of what was previously the School of Languages, Linguistics and Film and the School of English and Drama. So it combines those subject specialisms, and we're expanding into new areas as well. I think Matthew's asked me to speak, as he said, in the capacity of somebody who's just only recently finished as the Deputy Dean for Research Impact in the Faculty of Humanities and Social Science. And research impact is an increasingly important part of the UK research environment. So part of the Research Excellence Framework not only tries to measure or quantify the excellence of the research outputs of individual academics, groups, and disciplinary areas within each university, but also the research impact. So the extent to which those research activities are gaining traction within wider society. So it's a very important area of development for us, and an increasing amount of research funding is becoming attached to those kind of activities. So I wanted to perhaps give an illustration of work that's done at Queen Mary on that basis, an example of a case study that was extremely successful for us, and one that began in my own home department of drama through an organisation that we run as a charity working between the UK and Brazil called People's Palace Projects. And this uses community-based theatre approaches with communities to develop their resilience, to climate change, to social challenges across the board. It works very much in Brazil on questions of sustainability and resilience, but that might take place within poor communities, within the favela, within a city like Rio or Salvador, but equally, increasingly, it's working with communities in the Amazon basin, with indigenous communities, trying to help them face the challenges of climate and of social change. And this project with People's Palace Projects was, I think, the highest scoring research project for us, and indeed in the whole of the Research Excellence Framework. So it's what led to our department actually retaining for the third time running its #1 ranking in that exercise. But I think what's perhaps particularly striking about it is that the measure that they used to quantify the work that they'd be doing were the UN's Global Development Goals, so that they were able to look across any number of those goals and register the ways in which they had either brought about change or were supporting communities. And I'm very happy to share that case study should you wish to read it, but I won't take you through the nitty-gritty of the details, but thank you.
Yeah, I would like to add to this, since it's from your subject.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Devyani. I am basically from Amity School of Communication and extended faculty for Amity School of Film and Drama also. And we have high definition state of art studio. And definitely we look forward to know more about films because our film faculty is little occupied with some internals. So I've been sent on behalf of the Film Institute. So we can talk about research and the social science and the funding that you said regarding films to take the collaboration between your university and our esteemed university further?
I think that would be wonderful. Yes, of course, we have a department of film, but we also, I think, across the whole of the school, have a range of colleagues working in different areas of media. I mean, it's a very expansive term. So, working from film through social media, but also thinking about, I suppose, media in terms of journalism and the wider ways in which we receive and disseminate information. So, I think there's potentially quite a lot of correspondence there, and be very happy to hear more about the work here done at Amity.
I'm sure after this interactive session, you will be visiting our media studio. And also, we are having a more high definition studio in our new block where we are focusing much on acting, drama, and like we want to know further what kind of environment and content you provide to your film, dramatic, cinematography students so that they enrich in their career of filmmaking and all. We want to know on behalf of Amity, we want to know Amity School of Film and Drama, what kind of courses, what kind of exploration or experiential learning you provide for filmmaking courses,
Certainly, yeah.
so that students experience and learn more.
So we currently have two undergraduate programs, one in film and one in drama, and they are both academic and practical courses, if you like. So it will depend a little bit on the kind of modules that an individual student takes, but broadly speaking, it's a division between, I suppose, 50-50 theory and practice. We have theatre studios, film studios with the kind of technical resources that you'd, I think, hope and expect those to have. And then we have two current masters that replicate that at taught postgraduate level. So an MA in theatre and performance and an MA in film. The MA in theatre and performance, again, has a very strongly practical element, but it's also very academic. So it's been a very successful feeder program for doctoral research, and we produce quite a number of very excellent research academics through that program. It's a very similar situation in film, but there are three pathways on the film MA, one in documentary film, one in film theory, and one which I'm going to misname as film production. It has a different name, but that's effectively what they're looking at. We're also introducing two new master's programs at MA. One of which will be called the MA in Creative Arts and Media, which is, I suppose, has a more broadly based focus, but is looking to think about, I suppose, the intermedial work that we increasingly see, where we're finding screen-based work installed in live situations, where we're finding the use of virtual reality, performances in virtual reality, and so on, trying to give students, again, both a practical but critically rigorous engagement with those kind of materials. And then we have an MA in digital media and global culture, which does what it sounds like. It's looking again at a very broad range of ideas about what we might mean by media, but increasingly including social media within that. And the emphasis on global cultures is very important to us. Of course, we're based in the UK. The delivery of our teaching is in English, but of course, that's not the language that is spoken by most of the rest of the world on their, within their daily lives. So we're offering courses, for example, or will be offering courses, for example, in Arabic social media, looking at digital media in China, for example, looking at Indian film festivals, etc. So those are our two new MA programs. They're both going through the final stages of the validation process at the moment, but they should both be accepting students in September 25. And then we'll have two new BA programs that somewhat mirror those that are just at the beginning of that process, but would begin in 2026.
I think great. There is a lot of commonality and synergy that can be seen between the two departments of the universities. So this would be one of the takeaways, and we will pen it down accordingly. May I request Colonel Khattar to take on the next?
Thank you so much. Let me introduce myself, though I've already done it on the table. I'm Dr. Khattar, and I look after. I'm part of the Amity International Business Schools, and I look after all the academic part in the as part of this thing. Just to give you an overview of the management schools which we have. So we have three main management schools which function in various different areas. So we have the ABS, which is Amity Business School, which is primarily a PG, run for PG courses. We have Amity School of Business, primarily for the UG courses, and my school, which is the Amity International Business School, which has both UG and PG, and it focuses on the international business aspect. So, like I was talking to quite a few of you, sir. Uh, Keeping this as a background, about 7 years back, we had synced the international business with the new age technologies. So you can say we are the only business school in Amity which has running these courses. So just to give an overview, we have some learned faculty sitting with us. We have both at UG and PG level in BIDA, which is Business Intelligence and Data Analytics. Now I think so each and every university offers this. But if you go 7 to 8 years back, when we thought of this aspect, a lot of eyebrows were raised. He says, how can you sync these two aspects and all? And of course, we could get through our basic logic. We also run IB and AI. So now this international and business and AI is again a very unique course, which is run in like we run it. We have a MBA in AI. We have MBA in digital marketing, which is of course been common and all. So our experience has been that for last 6 to 7 years, initially, of course, 1 or 2 years, people were still thinking whether to join this course or not. We have very stringent admission criteria for joining these courses. Primarily, a person has to be with a maths background, whether he's done it in school in the 12th grade or a part of his UG and all. So these students, once they have gone out, they have been actually taken up very well with the in the industry, and we have seen a very constant growth in these specific programs. And definitely, we would like to collaborate in various forms, whether it is articulation, whether it is a dual degree, whether it is a joint degree in these specific this thing, taking the our strengths and your strengths into account. So that is one thing. Besides this, I'll quickly cover up some courses which we run. Besides this, we have a MBA International, which is a purely articulation program. A student does part with us and a part with the university, depending on the articulation program. For example, in a BBA scenario, a student would do 1 year with us and 2 years with the partner university, or could be 2 years with us and one with partner university. With the coming up of this national education policy, our the UG program, right, has been extended to 4 years, again, depending on the choice of the student. So that 4 years a student does is either a BBA in research. When I say BBA, it stands for any other program for that matter. It's either research oriented or it's honors. Now, if a student takes a research thing, so that means his entry into a PhD is direct from that UG level into the PhD level. Or if he does a master, he or she does a master's, then we have a 1 year's master's. Honors, of course, we all know that degree is there. And also this education policy also offers a student to drop out after every year, and depending on his or her choice, he can join any other university. Besides this, we also have the three continent program, which is again a very unique program. As the name suggests, one entire semester a student does outside India. The UG student does it in his fourth semester, and the PG does it in his final semester. So 3 months in UK and 3 months is in USA. We are thinking of expanding this program to maybe include 4 more countries. So it will be maybe 3 continent, 4 countries program. So we'll see how it progresses. So besides, like I said, we do of course have the classical program when we started a business school, UG and PG in international business. I've briefed you on the international, on the 3 continent, and of course the new age programs and all. Now, coming back to a main topic, which we have been speaking about, integration of arts into the STEM courses. Very rightly so, I think so. Now, STEM has been replaced by STEAM, STEAM, and where A, of course, stands for arts and all. Of course, I think so. We all know that the very fact that when we speak about interdisciplinary, I think so, it speaks of that we have to have a different perspective altogether. So whether it's arts or whether it is purely science courses and all, if you're giving a look from a different perspective, I think so, it adds value to that particular discipline or to the course and all. So I'm sure that when we study our art subjects, whether it is psychology, sociology, whether it is history, or it is purely, it's arts, music and all. So we are in fact trying to imbibe the human values, the social behavior, into these science aspects, which is necessary in today's world, which takes care, I think so, of the cultural sensitivity, right? And also, I would add, it takes off the care of the environmental sensitivity and all. So, just to give an example, our largest nuclear plant is in a place called Kundunlum, which is in Tamil Nadu, and it started generating electricity in the year 2014. So when it was being established, now it was being established purely by of course, the technical people and all. But again, the local people, they were absolutely against that, So once they are against it, people from all over, whether it is the Greenpeace and all, they all would come over. Because then they took the example of the nuclear disaster which took place in Japan, a place called Fukushima, I think that's there. Yeah, Fukushima. Now the difference is, then again, you see, now this is a social behavior, right? The people, the cultural identity they're trying to attract. So they were very scared that our complete marine life would be destroyed, our area would be destroyed. Now, ultimately, this Fushikoma, yeah, sorry, I hope so I'm pronouncing it correctly, it is still a ghost town. So they were scared of that over the period of years will also become one of that and all, right? So that is where I think so the STEAM aspect, now I'm calling it STEAM in place of STEM, had become very, very necessary, right? Because looking from a purely technical angle or a scientific angle, we never paid heed to this. Probably we're not even ready to take this, backlash from the local community and all. And so I think so the STEAM aspect, if you look at it from a very generic view and all, it came to the rescue and it's absolutely functioning, perfectly fine and all. Also, like all these so-called, these fast food restaurants, when they came into our country, like all these McDonald's, we have a very, we are sensitive to a certain part of the food aspect. So I'm sure that all they have taken care of that and all. So this can only come about if we integrate, right, the arts aspect and the scientific aspects, and rightly so we call it as the STEAM aspects. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Khattar. Just two things I would like to add. You mentioned about the various programs that we run. And here I would like to underscore the fact that in most of these programs, it's a Amity school, a school of international business. So everything here has got a focus on internationalization, and that's actually the core of Amity's philosophy and ethos. Giving international exposure to our students is something that is given top priority by the highest managements, including our honorable founder president. The programs that we run are well ahead of the times. Even before the national education policy came in, we were doing internationalization in terms of articulation agreements, which has now come as dual degree. We have been doing this even earlier. Talking about the three continent programs and the study abroad programs, these are all programs that are focused on our students getting international exposure. But another very unique way of, I wouldn't say unique, but very good way of giving international exposure to our students here at home is by getting international students to our university. And here I would like to emphasize that this is the most opportune time for anyone to come to India and get involved with India because of the progress that India is making right now. I mean, I can go on for forever and tell you what India is doing right now, but I would only say that please encourage your students to come to India and spend some time and become part of the winning team. Just to put this, let you know, we right now have about 100 students from Monash who are on campus right now. They are here for short duration, just for 2 weeks. Then there will be some more who will come for another 2 weeks. So it's a month-long program, and I can assure you that at least 10-15% of them will come back to India again. The problem is that people don't know about India. Everybody thinks that India is a land of snake charmers and old temples, and that's it. But it's a lot more than that. Of course, right now the pollution is a little high, but we have got no. I'm sure none of you have got any health issues right now, so that's good. The other thing that I want to talk about is changing or evolving STEM to STEAM. I think I would say that we are actually going back to STEAM. India is a place where the the Indian culture and religion as well uh, is the only culture and religion where science has been supporting religion and the other way around. It's the only religion that does it. Everybody else, there was a dogma that no, if you're doing something scientific, that means you are not against God. That was not the case in India ever. It is only now that people are start saying that no, science is different and technology is and religion is different. It has not been the case in India. So culturally, if you're talking about the Indian culture and Indian way of working, art, customs, traditions, social life, and science have been extremely well intertwined and have been one. I would now request maybe Professor Malik. If,
Yeah,
you
so
have-
that would be excellent indeed. Speaking of the business,
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And am I audible or? Yeah. Okay. So my name is Sushant Malik. I'm a professor of international finance, the School of Business and Management. I have been at the school for last 18 years. So I kind of know the development, all the MOUs which were signed a long time ago. I think probably around 2015 or so. I am familiar with the history, and I also knew that there was this program 1+1 master's level. I am not sure, but I would like to know from you whether that is still running, or whether students are going from here, or are there students coming from that side. So I kind of don't have the latest information. So, yeah, so we would be interested in continuing this partnership, which has been, I think, quite successful so far. In our school, as you know, we have, it's multidisciplinary. We have cutting across all the different areas of business and management. So starting from human resource management, and we have in general management, business and society, and accounting and finance, marketing, which is a very successful program we have. We get a lot of students from India. And we also have a business analytics we were discussing earlier, and applied economics. We recently have introduced, coming back to the digital integration and digitalization that we are seeing today globally. And we have two new programs, MSc in the environmental analytics, and we're trying to kind of deal with the disaster risks and other climate risk, and how best it can be mitigated, questions of that nature. And along with that, we have a MSc in blockchain technology, which is the reality today, blockchain applications and management dimension, not so much the technology per se, but the other dimension. So that's a new program which we are trying to promote. And if there are students who are interested in studying those, so we would also encourage you to, we would request you to encourage students to kind of opt for that. And so coming back to the point about impact and so on, in the academic sector, we do research, and when we think about impact, we look at the journal quality and so on, and where we focus on citations so much, to say whether it had impact or not, right? But when we think about impact in the real world, it's very different. There are people who are publishing and very high quality journals, and they say, we don't care whether it's being received in the real world or not. And I'm a journal editor myself, so I know how people perceive. They don't care, they just publish. I'm talking about top 10, top 20 journals people publish. I have even heard from them. I say, I don't care, I'm solving problems, getting it published in top journal. I don't know whether it is getting accepted or as long as I contribute to knowledge, I'm fine, right? But in reality, we have to engage with the stakeholders. So it depends on how we are picking up topics. Do we work with the governments? Do we work with the industry? So sometimes we find, in India, there is a lot of research going on, and where people work with industry, with the government, and maybe a lot of that research is not making their way to journals. So whereas in the West, it's very different. Because our first target is journal. Obviously, if your research is funded, you kind of, you will have to work with the government and so on. So I'll just cite one example here. I did a paper on which you are familiar. It's the IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which was introduced in 2016. Tried to evaluate the effectiveness of that law, and whether it really enabled distressed firms to recover. Okay, after taking this help from IBC. So we kind of did that research. We published a co-authored paper published in Journal of Corporate Finance in 2021. And subsequently, the IBBI here in Delhi, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, IBBI. So they actually invited us to work on a subsequent follow-up work for them, and which we actually recently completed, but there are data limitations. So you can't do much what you want to do academically, and it's not possible because you don't have data. We are actually interested in trying to try to evaluate like firms which were distressed before, and before 2016. And there are also firms, so the data that we have, it allows us, since 2016, since the law was, law came into being, what happened to firms, those who took help of that law. So which was not possible, because we needed like a control group even before 2016 to see whether really it has helped firms to become better performing and less distressed and so on. So basically, when you work with the government, you have a lot more learning because you get access to information, and it would have a bigger impact. To come back to the earlier point about impact. So, this is one dimension with regard to impact. My second point, I'll close that, is about digitalization. Okay, digitalization is the reality today. Whether people like it or not, it's the reality. AI is there, it's there to stay. But what we can do is we can integrate that into our teaching and research programs, right? So we are in as part of in our MSc programs, we try to integrate that into MSc like MSc in digital marketing, MSc in this blockchain technology I mentioned earlier, and so on. And we have a business analytics. So we try to, in digital economy, digital finance, so we try to integrate all that. But I think, historically, whenever there was technological transformation at any point in history, always there would be some hesitation, some resistance, right? But people will get used to it, and it will be because it helps improve productivity. Okay, so I think our goal should be, I mean, not just ours, firms, companies, they would be more interested in using technology if it can be cost saving, it can improve their productivity, and they will, of course, go for it. And I was in Australia last July, and there was a robo bringing the plate. We were having dinner, and so we were just surprised. I was surprised, and how we are replacing one worker, right? Somebody could have been employed, but right now it's being done by the AI. So there is this issue of digitalization, but the question is, how does it improve our well-being? Digitalization we are doing, everybody is going to do. It can have impact at household level. It can also have impact at firm level, company level. So there is a need for more thinking, more research on these issues, and but because there is little information, we don't have enough data. When we think about digitalization at household level, we don't have a lot of data. We can see who all are using e-wallets. I have actually a paper on that. I'm working on trying to see, using Indian data, trying to see whether digitalization enables material well-being. Are you better off because of these e-wallets and other things that are coming into practice? But reality, it doesn't really. It's just another way you are going to do something. But I don't think it's going to really improve your well-being in some way. But it can save time and so on. You can be more productive in a way, and that's all. But yeah, the one thing we can do as academics, our goal is just to kind of integrate these things into our teaching programs and to undertaking further research and so on. So I'll stop there. Sorry, I took a bit long.
Professor Barna, anything you want to add?
Thank you very much. I mean, if I may just pick up to one element that we've discussed so far, I mean, I was very pleased in the discussion with my colleague, Professor Martin, to hear that there were also some potentials, I mean, in other fields in terms of progression agreements, 1+1. And indeed, obviously, we have this long-standing collaboration with the business school, which I hope will be able to take indeed to the next level. But indeed, we would very much welcome also, I mean, discussions on ways in which other schools could work together. On the topic of digitalization impact, it is quite clear that there are really a multiplicity of stakeholders who are involved in the process of digitalization. And to create pathways to impact, there is always this question as to how we can integrate and involve those stakeholders in the exploitation and dissemination activities that we organize. I believe looking at the last ref, it's India was the third country had most impact case studies related to, meaning that I believe there is really a great potential for joint research projects between UK researchers and researchers here in India. So I would be very interested to hear from our colleagues here in Amity as to how we could actually also take our collaboration forward, in particular in the area of research, thinking in particular of research projects that could meaningfully translate into impact by indeed involving different stakeholders on the Indian side, from governments, industry, and also the civil society organizations.
May I, sir? I look after the collaboration side of UK and Europe region, and also I look after the projects in the Group Vice Chancellor's office. And we've been very fortunate to have some great partners in the UK region, and we have bid for several UCRI grants, and I've been very fortunate to work under the Group Vice Chancellor's mentorship. And we've got 4 out of the 5 grants that were out. So even currently, I'm working with in a UCRI grant. We're doing AI in healthcare with the University of York. And usually I do the bidding under his guidance, of course. So I would be very keen if you could give me that nodal point, because these grants are out and now we have very deep friendships with the Ukraine India team. We're traveling to York in February for the London leg of this grant, where we're doing a high powered conference in University of York. So I do the bidding continuously because I get to know about these grants way before they are out. The Ukraine India team is now a very, we are very good friends with them, and Michael, Allison, they frequent our campus regularly. So if you could give me the nodal person with whom I can connect when the next grant is out. For example, there's this Going Global grant which is out right now, and I somehow didn't have a partner. We scraped through a grant with Oxford Brookes, but because that was not very high ranked, we couldn't get that. So it's around this time. It comes out in January or something. So I want to, and these grants take about a month to write and then get everything going because there's lots of paperwork. If you could give me that nodal person, I will contact you the next time the grant is out. And it will be because January is the time when they start throwing out the grants. And they are very healthy grants. They are very easy to do grants. They are very productive grants. And it's always been a delight to work with that. And they're very, so for example, at this point, we are working with 60,000 GBP. So that's a lot of money and very convenient money. It funds a lot of travel, mobility, research. So if you could give me that nodal person, I'd immediately connect to you, and you will be our preferred UK partner, because we can only do one bidding per grant from Amity International Business School. So you will be our preferred partner for the next grant that is out.
It's just to say, sorry, just amazing to hear that, and we'll definitely put you in touch with our Joint Research and Management Office, JRMO, which will then in due course help identify the right academics to work on a particular call, bearing in mind that indeed there is very often a high interdisciplinarity involved, but that would indeed be a great pleasure to work with you on that.
So basically what happens is that, of course, it will be done by the academics. But if there is one nodal person whom I connect to, then that person just kind of connects on to the academics, they do the writing, etc. Because there's lots of paperwork that has to be done at the Vice Chancellor's office, etc. So I get that organized, and somebody from your side gets that organized. The academic writes a proposal, and then I get the coordination of the uploading of the grant, etc. done. So immediately after the meeting, if I will write to you so that I come on your inbox, and then the next time the grant is out, just reach out and we'll get the grant proposal going.
Okay, so can you switch to languages now and request Dr. Ghosh to please take on?
Thank you, Admiral Bhatnagar, and Professor Berne, Professor Martin, Professor Javier, Professor Malik, and other colleagues sitting here. So it's a pleasure to be here. So I am Shantanu Ghosh, directing the Amity Institute for English Studies and Research. So, so apart from the traditional English literature courses, we also have recently introduced a master's program in applied linguistics, a 2-year master's program in applied linguistics. And we also have, the applicational aspects of what you are describing about interdisciplinary research in terms of converting STEM to STEAM. I think languages are a very, very interesting point where we can, dovetail our interests, because without language, much of our society and our education may not have been possible. We would obviously have other ways of communication, but language is unique to humans, but not so unique in terms of, communicational systems. A friend of mine at the University of California at Berkeley, so he is involved with a project currently working with a National Geographic project in Bermuda. So they are deciphering the language of whales and other, cetaceans. So it's a very interesting project called the SETI project. You may look it up. So let me go it into two parts. We have the traditional undergraduate program, 3 years program, and we have recently introduced a 4-year undergraduate program, which caters to both the traditional English literature as well as many courses in social communication and linguistics. So we have courses, we have specializations in women's literature, we have specialization in comparative literature, in linguistics at the undergraduate level as well, and where we also bring in the aspects of AI. We have a couple of courses on language and AI, and of late, Chat GPT and LLMs and the SLMs have made it very easy for us to make these things a little more understandable or explainable. Regarding our, we also have higher level courses, like we have a very vibrant PhD program where we currently have about 35 full-time and several part-time students, and we have a plethora of topics that people work on, mainly from literature and communication, but also they work on aspects of English language teaching, and increasingly they're working on digital communication and AI ethics and society's way of looking at communication. So one of our colleagues talking about, Professor Malik was talking about that robot bringing in that menu or dish. So I remember two things. One is that we would like AI to definitely do all these things, but we want AI to do our daily chores and let us do our art rather than the other way around. So we should have free time to do that. So that opens up a perspective of what is possible to do within social communication and human machine interface communication. So we could do a lot of exploratory data analysis on how robots and humans can communicate. So we can do conversation analysis, we can do textual analysis of products of AI, especially Chat GPT. And there also is an ethical aspect to that, whether or not we would allow Chat GPT or LLMs to go into aspects of language, literature, or even legal aspects, where many of the translations are done by the AI nowadays, or in terms of health. So I was looking at the data from the United States, where a lot of these medical records are being transcribed by AI nowadays, especially in the partners group. And they found that they did a pilot project. They found about 30% of the data transcribed by AI does not pass the human quality test. So that's a huge, huge amount of wrongful, or imaginary, hallucinating, aspects of AI, which can be very detrimental. So it has an ethical aspect as well. Added to it is also the fact that we have these tools nowadays that are very important for us to integrate, as you all have been emphasizing, that we cannot live without AI. We better adapt to it, and our teaching should be also geared towards these kinds of courses. Uh, in fact, I see a very, very good way of interacting, especially at the faculty level also, but also in terms of student exchange. I already have established partners at Harvard and at Oxford, uh, and Sweden in Gothenburg, uh, and across in Australia. So we are working with them on a couple of projects, not only in terms of social cognition, but also in terms of how literary arts can actually fit into the STEM education. So we would have a lot of interest in talking across the two delegations. So if you would like to ask any question.
Thank you. Firstly, it's super interesting. I think you raise a really important point about the increasingly digital nature of our lives and the role of AI on it. And of course, it may well lead to greater productivity, but will it lead us to living well or living better? And I think those questions of how we evaluate what it means to live well and live in a meaningful way is something that the arts is well prepared to teach us. So I think there's very much a role for the arts within this discussion. But I think also you raised the question of language, which of course in my school, School of the Arts, is very important to us. We have languages. Sorry, oh, it's not me. Sorry. We have languages, but we also have linguistics. And the linguistics department is just launching a new MSc in linguistics and AI, where that question of actually how we train these tools better is extremely important, but also how we develop a generation of students whose background is perhaps within the humanities and social sciences, but how we develop them with the schools, with the tools to know what the coding means, to know how to operate those kind of tools and devices more effectively. So I think that that's a really important challenge. Actually, is how we produce graduates with the kind of flexibility of thought that enables them to operate in more than one discipline sort of simultaneously. I think that's very important. I was really interested to hear about your English program. I think it sounds like there's a lot of correspondence with the English department at Queen Mary as well, where the focus is on English as a global language increasingly. So I think it's the largest group in terms of both the modules on offer, but also the number of academics working in that area is in the sphere of post-colonial English literature. So obviously a great deal of that is published in India, but also within the Caribbean, within Africa, and so on. And I suspect that there may be kind of really interesting conversations that our colleagues might have together in that respect. We also have a very active comparative literature department. So some of that is looking at literature in English, but also literature in other languages, including Chinese.
We'd be very happy to take this further. Interestingly, you brought up post-colonial. So we have a whole set of courses, master's level as well as undergraduate level courses on post-colonial interactions. And also we have introduced one course very recently on the post-human and the digital humanities interface, which is kind of exciting for me. Also, we are looking to build up a vertical on the social cognition aspect, where we can also take in inputs from AI. So my background is also in machine learning. So as part of my training, so I can use those tools. I can see how we can navigate within that. So we're trying to evolve a program on social cognition. So it would be really, really useful for us to interact with the AI team or the psychology team or even the neurosciences, because language and the brain's response to language is something which is very, very unique to say some multicultural issues and educational issues. So because when we draw up a curriculum and the pedagogical aspects are actually tied up with the way in which we internalize our languages. So it's usually said that after 14 you can't learn a new language. But what about translators and interpreters? They pick up a new language, and the nuances of that are very, very important. And now the technologies are kind of available. I was listening yesterday to the translation provided by AI for Bharat, which is a publicly funded interface where we have 44,000 hours of recording from 12 Indian languages and English, Indian English. So there's simultaneous translation can go on from one language to the other, almost real time with no jitter. So that's a huge, huge progress made in terms of, and one of my colleagues at Microsoft Research in Bengaluru, so she works on AI ethics and also code mixed and code switched languages, which is the more common form for bilingual interactions. So can we make these possible to be weaved into, conversational situations, multilingual analysis? Because after all, in the next 30, 40 years, we will have robots and robotic interactions with humans, which will become very, very common. If we do not know how to react to that, if we would be caught napping, and we would have a kind of a dystopian future. We have that also predicted. So I would be very interested. In fact, we would all be very excited. We have colleagues here sitting, and a couple of them are actually guiding PhD theses on several aspects of these. So
I think I would recommend a project by my colleague Ruth Arnott in the English department to you, who's been working with the Turing Institute, which is the kind of main sort of computer science institute in the UK. And it's a project called Learning with Machines. I think I have the title right, but she's actually a specialist in medieval manuscripts. So she's looking at very ancient documents, but they're training the computers to actually both read these manuscripts as they appear two-dimensionally, but also where the paper or the vellum, whatever material they were written on, is very delicate and shouldn't be unfolded because it may become damaged. That they're using scanning technology with AI to be able to actually read these materials in the form that they are currently, without actually risking damaging them as objects by sort of unrolling them and exposing them to air and so on. And I think, but actually, it's Ruth's ability to read those materials alongside the machine that's really, really important. It's not something that the machine is quite able to really do on its own. It's that sort of that question of having a human interpreter, I guess, alongside the translated material that kind of seems to give it its weight. But I recommend it to you. It's a fantastic product.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I think there is some time restriction, or that I would leave it to you. But we also have to stick to the time that you had given to us. Anyone from our side would like to say anything? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Myself, Dr. Shrish Pathak. I am representing here Amity Institute of International Studies, International Relations. My discipline is very much by nature is interdisciplinary. Actually, we cannot study international relations just being a one-dimensional approach. I would like to comment on 2-3 things. There's two things as Professor Matthew Burney has told. First thing is this is STEM-dominated world. And second thing is covering research into policy. If we can be able to do that, then only actually we are contributing. And third thing that is very important, as highlighted by Professor Sushant Malik, he's said that it's a kind of disconnected research we are doing. Means people are publishing, but whether that publication is having anything to do with the ground reality. So I think all the 3 points, the way we are talking today, the very topic of the panel discussion is very much answer of the first thing, that yes, it's a system dominated world, but we are actually adopting STEAM here because the topic is very much STEAM oriented that we are talking today. Second, that covering research into policy, I think we can do that only when we are inviting a stakeholder from every discipline. And it is not happening, because if somebody is coming from science background, especially for natural science or from economics, from social science or political science, it's not about the background, it's about the overall training actually. And because of that training, we are having prima facie a kind of trust deficit. Suppose I need to collaborate with, I'm coming from political science IR background, but I need to collaborate with some science person. So we both are having some kind of trust deficit. And because of our background and training, it's not just everybody is talking about interdisciplinarity, but how much we are translating that into our life. So there is a challenge not only at the output level, but at our training level also. But here, everybody was talking about LLM, large language models. I need to highlight here that the very success of large language models is actually the example, big example of this interdisciplinarity. How the content is being created through LLM and how the people are using it is not just the coming from one discipline or two discipline. So there's a strict compartmentalization when it comes to disciplinary approach. We have to come over first. And as a solution, I think we together, either we can start some research projects where we can invite as a guide or as a co-guide from each other's institution from the same project, or our students are doing UG PG project and they can collaborate and we together can guide, or we can design some course together. And I think in that way we can contribute and we can turn research into a policy. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think Dr. Sumita wants to make the closing remarks very briefly.
India is the biggest example of digitization. It is, we have witnessed it, whether it is security system, Aadhaar card, or DG Yatra, or wallet, digital wallet. You can go around India without a pen. So what could be better? And agricultural drone Didi, everything is done through AI and ML. And as it's a film, our film got into Oscar, RRR. It is an impact of AI, AR, and VR. So ultimately, we have to accept it and we have to take it. We can have exchange programs, digital and skillful exchange programs where both parties will be beneficial. Thank you very much. I teach AI, so I will speak only about AI. Thank you.
Very apt closing words. And would you like to take the last?
Yeah, so I must thank the delegation from Queen Mary University of London for being here, firstly, and also sharing their insightful thoughts about a very important topic. We've how we've married art and culture and social studies with science. A lot of mention have been made of AI, and AI has, of course, got its boons and banes both, and what we easily see are the boon that it makes our life easier. But I was in Russia very recently, and they are worried about all the blue collar jobs being taken away by AI. But that is not the biggest problem of AI, of the skepticals that they feel. This is the only technology that mankind has invented which thinks for itself. The danger is that tomorrow, because it learns and it becomes more and more intelligent as it grows, and the danger that comes with AI is that tomorrow it may become more intelligent than the man who made it. So we need to keep that in mind and keep it in check. The people, the brightest minds have to see that AI is kept at a level that it doesn't surpass humans. So thank you very much, everyone. Let us now move on to felicitations, and I hand over.
Wonderful. Thank you all for this very power packed and very thought provoking panel. We can continue this offline. Please feel free to exchange your phone numbers and emails. I'm sure a lot of very beautiful interaction will carry on beyond these formal, confines. And it is now my duty and honor to proceed with the felicitations, may I please request the Amity Apex team to please step forward. Sirs. And we start with the felicitation of Professor Matthew Burney, Dean of International. Thank you so much for taking time out to visit Amity. We greatly appreciate that's a shawl to keep you warm and remind you of the warmth of friendship that Amity offers. A small token. Professor Javier Sajura, Deputy Dean of Education. Thank you, sir, for your time. Professor Martin Welton, Head of Drama. Professor Sushanta Malik, Professor of International Finance. Thank you for your continued collaboration. Professor Angelos Devapoulos from the School of Law. Ms. Nishi Sadana, thank you so much for felicitating this. We have a token of friendship for you. Thank you so much for your felicitation. There is a team that is outside and our tokens can be given directly to them. We have Mr. Lee Wildman. Yes. So the rest of the team will be felicitated later. And now we have a very grand Amity tour, which will take you to all your labs and the various AI labs, language labs, drama labs, and so on. I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting trip for you. And thank you so much for your time.